Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and tonight I'm proud to bring you the Enchanted Self with Dr. Barbara Becker Holstein. Greetings, Barbara. How are you?
I am good, Hercules, and I'm always glad to be with you. It always brightens a long day at the end for us to reminisce and talk
I'm
about the places and the stages of our lives, and hopefully with some good stuff for people listening in.
I don't know if I shared it with you, but I had a memory not too long ago. I was meditating and I was in New York when I lived in New York in Manhattan. And I went to a bookstore, and this was before I had the TV show, and we met through the TV shows. And I grabbed a bunch of books off the psychology shelf of people I wanted to talk to, and The Enchanted Self was one of those books. And I'd forgotten about it, and then it came back to me during a meditation.
Wow, that's so nice. It's really a treat for me to hear something like that because sometimes I feel that all the things that I wrote about and I tried to teach about sort of just disappeared like little leaves and in the fall just went away. And actually, I have made a decision in the last couple of months to refresh myself with the things that stirred me so deeply for many years, and that I spent day and night literally teaching others and doing a newsletter, inviting guests on my shows at the time, and writing books. And it's almost like that was a whole chapter that kind of closed, but not really. So if I can continue, I will now for a few minutes, okay?
Sure, that'd be fantastic. And we're on the same,
Okay,
so that is fantastic.
all right, so we met, Hercules and I met maybe 10 or 15 years into the birth of the Enchanted Self. I'm not really sure exactly, but prior to the birth of the Enchanted Self, I was becoming a psychologist, getting my license, all that stuff, being a school psychologist, being a learning disability specialist, et cetera, et cetera. And there were two children in our house also, so there's a lot going on. And when I started to feel very uncomfortable in my practice of psychology is when the wheels started to almost go in reverse. Normally, you want your wheels to be going like forward, forward, forward. And my wheels were going like, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. Why is it wrong? Trying to figure it out. And I finally realized as I worked with my clients, and I also watched I couldn't watch them in their room doing the therapy, but I had friends that were therapists. I read about therapists. I heard them at meetings. I felt I had discovered the problem. And the problem was that most therapies and most therapists were looking and helping a person with what was wrong with him or herself, rather than looking for and trying to help that person with what was right about themselves. Now, truthfully, you can't avoid everything at either end. I mean, you can't have someone who really needs help because they've had trauma and just try to build them up. It's crazy. Just lost part of my, it's okay. And on the other hand, if you are constantly building someone up, you may ignore certain problems that they told you about. And that's not right either, because they know they have these problems, they want some help. And you're, as a therapist, social worker, you try to get there to some extent. So I realized that what was missing in the psychology world, and it's still basically missing except for one part, was a understanding that every therapist who operates, now I don't care what they're under, psychiatrist down to counselor, I feel has an obligation to seek out and help that person recognize what is right with themselves, not just what's wrong, and to help build stronger parts of the right part. It's very, very important. And once you help people recognize what is significantly right about themselves, whether it's a hobby or a talent, or the way they handle animals, or the way they handle their mother-in-law, whatever it is that has these components that are good, it helps them bridge the world they have to put up with day after day, week after week, money, being lonely, lost, whatever it is, some things wrong with the body, all the things we deal with. And why did I call that the Enchanted Self? Because you will be amazed at how almost mystical or enchanting discovering certain parts of yourself turn out to be. Sometimes there are things you never expected about yourself, that you never had a chance to try. And sometimes it's things you've known all along, but you suppressed, or you didn't know how to get people to help you so you could build some of this stuff. That's part of it. And another part of it is biologically, I can't prove this, but it's energy. It's the energy that holds the world and the universe together. When we're in touch with energy from ourselves and we bring more in, maybe from the atmosphere, we get somewhere. And that energy is just as real as eating a piece of fudge cake, except it's not going to hurt you the same way. It pushes you. It helps you do what you need to do at that point in your life. And it is, it really is magical. I mean, lots of times, something's going on that's bad in your life or confusing. And, you get the phone call from the one person that might have a lead about something. Or you get the phone call from somebody that you had just dreamed about and you really felt, I lost her number years ago, but she calls. There's so many aspects to the way this particular energy jumps around and puts itself into us and a part of us if we let it. And so I called it the Enchanted Self, and I still call it the Enchanted Self. And that was the one thing that I feel I really brought to the world that hadn't been clearly understood. And I think that I have been one of the leaders in correcting psychotherapy into a dimension where positive psychology is a very legitimate part of therapy for many practitioners. Although I will still say that it's positive psychology is not fully understood, and it's often avoided if that's the choice. But still, I've made many inroads, and the other side of everything, having looked over my stuff again, is my work in film work with developing a concept around selfie filming. This has yet to really be expanded. I don't have a school, I'm not training teenagers right now, but I do believe, and I may be somewhere else on a cushion in heaven when this happens, but I believe at some point, um, the selfie concept of using, of making films, uh, whether it's the smallest thing in a household where a kid is upset, he can't talk to his parents, he's afraid. But if you put him in a separate room and he gets his little cell phone and he's willing, he has to be willing, he'll tell the truth with his parents not listening, not hearing at that point. And when he's ready, he'll give a performance, so to speak, so they'll hear what was really on his mind. And that can be done because it's so easy to record one's thoughts with the cell phone that we walk around with. It's an amazing adventure. At the other end of creativity and talent, it means that kids can do tremendous things in developing their own films and stuff. But even more so, what I did with my kind of selfie use was the kids did a lot of their own filming. They knew the scene, they knew what they had to say more or less, but they did it on their own terms. So they might be sitting on a roof in their parents' house and they film the scene that I'm going to use in a film that's going to go around the world. And it works. The kids are really smart and they get it really easily. And the films that I did make with kids have gone to over 200 festivals. Of course, they didn't win at every festival, but they've been around the world and they're still invited.
Well,
And I think it's a very useful tool. I'm gonna stop now for a few minutes.
no, you're a pioneer, Barbara, and you continuously experimented with different cutting edge techniques and tested ideas, and your legacy is certainly one worth preserving and expanding upon because, again, this is your enchanted self. You're bringing this type of magic into the world, this type of enchantment, and you're helping people find their positive selves. And you're right. I've been a therapist. I've been in the psychiatric and psychological fields for a very long time. I'm long since retired, but I remember there's somebody we both worked with who considered himself a wizard. And I remember because
Yes,
come to
yeah,
my program, my pre-vocational program, that I used to talk to his therapist, and his therapist had wanted to give him medications, very high medications, to cure him of his, delusions. And I asked him which delusions did he want to cure, and he was talking about all the entertainment things that this individual did. Now, this individual was at the time getting invited to premieres by bands that everybody knew about and to movie premieres by actors that everybody knew about. And he had just cut a comedy album song that was on national television. And he'd also appeared on national television on shows that people would recognize. So I asked the therapist, are bands calling you, telling you to come to premieres? Are famous actors calling you, to go to premieres? What do you call it? Are you on any media that has transcended the local and become national? And the guy said no. And I asked, why do you want to cure him of that? That's something most people would die to have. He has it. So what is there to cure? And eventually he agreed with me, but he was arguing for quite a while, thinking that this individual, because he was a little eccentric and different in how he did things. And yes, he did need some help. Everybody needs some insight or some help in some way or another. But all the things that were magical about this person's life, all the things that were enchanted about this person's life, this therapist wanted to make them all go away to make him what? Instead of what he had, which was enchanted.
Right, right. Yes, yes, very often parents try to kill that part of the kid, or grandparents or friends. It is fragile, but once you recognize it in yourself, once you understand it a bit, then you become fierce, you become your own lion or tiger. Don't dare think you're taking, I'll speak for myself. I am a senior woman. I still take ballet lessons. Do you think I can jump? No. Do you think I can run across the stage? No. But you dare to tell me that maybe, the money could be used better elsewise? I'll kill you, you know? It's not up for discussion.
Right.
It's
No,
part
that's
of
very
me.
true.
It's part of my language, my essence.
I've seen too many people in beds that they're never getting up from. If they're lucid enough to remember things, having so many regrets that they didn't do all the things that they wanted to do, or that was deeply inside them to do, and they regret that because now they're not going to do it. Chances are, and the things that they wanted to say that they didn't say, revelations as to how they felt about certain people or certain situations, both positive and negative. And it's those small things, having a person who cares about you enough, even if it's a staff person, to visit you and to see how you're doing and to chat with you for a while, to have good memories. Those are the riches you get from this life, and to have few regrets, because the regrets will eat you when you're in that bed and you're not going anywhere. And I'm choking over what this is a
Yeah.
topic that's very important to me too. I learned very early in life because I'm Greek American. So you had the Greek reality, you had the American reality, and then you had the Greek American reality. So this gives you certain options. One, you can live your life as a Greek American. Two, you could go the Greek route and be very Greek. You go the American route and be very American. You can become schizophrenic, which often happens to first generation people from countries with long histories. Or you could realize that fiction plays a very big role in these concepts of who you are, and that depending on what you accept to be as true and what other people to be accept as true, that's the definition of reality. But it has no reflection on who you truly are. You're not what your parents named you when you were a child. You're not what anybody thought you were or what groups people think you should belong to. It's whatever you decide you are. And that's a quest of the greatest magnitude, because again, otherwise you'll be living a false life. And it might be a good life by the standards of the world, but it won't be your life.
Yeah, it's terrible to give away your life.
Yes, it is.
Um, I think that I'd like to leave people tonight with the most simple of one or two of the teaching things that I've done with people many, many times. And one of them, you just sit quietly, you have a pad of paper or at least a piece of paper. Maybe you use your phones so you don't need that. Um, I'm not so comfortable not to still have paper around, but you start to think about what your talents are and what your interests are and what your potential might have been. And you can, really become dramatic and even cry if that happens. And, I love the piano, but no one would pay for the piano, or we should have lived, near that place when I got that offer. I mean, you can do some waxing and this physical and mental sorrow. Just don't go overboard, because the purpose of this type of meeting of your mind with yourself is to give you some courage to perhaps try something again, or to go back to it, or to realize that the next time that person says, um, oh, got some pounds on you. Or that's the last time that person is ever gonna say that. I don't know what you're gonna do about it, but nobody is entitled to weaken your sense of self. Nobody. Yes, you have a responsibility. You could say the Ten Commandments speak of it. Probably every religious group in the world has something like that. So we're not supposed to go around just injuring people. But if people take part of us when they're not entitled to, that's not good. And one should try to redeem oneself, try to be the person you were meant to be. And so these types of thoughts are part of the enchanted self. And they're just the things that don't always work out, but very often they do. And for me, and I think for Hercules, because I've been with Hercules when it's worked out, we had such fun putting on these
Yes.
crazy
Yeah.
shows in New York with no props, but a little table and some fake flowers. And just imagining that we were in a forest, and if Hercules knocked, I said, come on in. And we would have a great show. How could that possibly have happened if we weren't both in touch with our enchanted selves?
Very, very true and very, very important. And you don't have to know how you're going to do something. That comes later. It's decide to do something and then just keep going, and you'll eventually figure out the way to do it. And
Right,
those
right.
created fantastic memories that I've treasured all these years, and I'll treasure until I take my last breath. And I'm so happy that we're still able to do this today.
Yes, yes. So that's my message for tonight. Of course, people can always find me on the Enchanted Self website. I have lots of books. You only have to look up on Amazon. And we'll just keep trucking as far as myself and I think Hercules, um, in our own ways. You know, it's the best solution to a situation that unfortunately doesn't go on forever. You know, but
That's a topic for another day.
all
Thank
right,
you so
another
very
day.
much, Barbara. You're an incredible human being, and I'm blessed to have you on the same path, and that we're still communicating. I wish you well in all your endeavors, and I'm really looking forward to our next conversation.
I feel the same way. Have a great few weeks.
You too.
Bye
Bye-bye.
for now.